Hey guys, welcome back to Warhammer Weekend Times. I'm your host Stan, and today I've got a 2v3 siege battle for y'all. I'm going to be playing as the Dark Elves, and my ally is going to be Coachka23 playing as the High Elves, and we are going to be defending a 2-layer fortress against the forces of DECAY. And over here we've got Apple-G playing as the Vampire Counts, Dodged It playing as the Children of Nurgle, and then way over here we have First Class Mint playing as the Tomb Kings. Let's go ahead and go over the army compositions, guys, and then we'll start the battle. In case you want to skip the army compositions, I always put the time that battle actually starts in the description below. I don't really call it out very often or mention it, but it is there in case y'all need it. I put it in all my videos. But First Class Mint has a few units of Holy Sons. He's got a bunch of Skeleton Warriors as well. He's got one unit of Black Guardians of Xandri. He's going to be bringing some Tomb Guard, a bunch of Mummies. He's got a unit of Bone Giants, and then over here he's got a unit of Liches. So he's bringing a very heavy... Oh, he's also got a unit of Ushabti, guys. He's bringing a very heavy infantry-focused army. I don't think he's got any skirmishers, with the exception of those Liches. So it's going to be interesting to see how he handles getting inside the wall. Dodged It over here, he's got about 3 units of Chaos Warriors, 2 units of Plague Bearers, bringing about, I think, 3 or 4 units of Marauders, 3 units of Nurglings, a unit of Minotaurs. In the back, he's got a unit of Chaos Knights, and up in the front, he's got a Hell Cannon of Chaos. Over here for Apple-J's army, he's got about 2, or actually he's got 3 units of Empire Swordsmen, about 2 units of Drakenhof Guard, 4 units of Empire Archers, 1 unit of Von Karsteins, 1 unit of Blood Dragons, 2 units of Vampire Black Knights, and then 1 unit of Blood Dragon Knights. Oh, and then also in front, he's got 3 units of Krell's Personal Bodyguard, 2 of which are going to be pushing up ladders. So those are the attacking team's armies, guys. Let's go ahead and go over the defending team's armies. But I've got about 4 units of Dark Shards. I've got also about 4 units of Bleak Swords as well. Kochka's bringing about 3 or 4, I think actually about 4 or 5 units of High Elf Spears this game. I've got about 2 units of Assassins. They are going to be multiple HP, and they have a little throwing dagger that they throw before they charge in. I've also got 1 unit of Cold One Knights. Those are going to be really effective early on in the game. A couple units of Shadow Warriors on Kochka's team, or his army. He's also got a few units of Lothern Sea Guard. Way over here, he's going to have the rest of his High Elf Spears. And he's also got some Silver Helms and Illyrian Reavers that he's going to sally out and use to harass First Class Mint's army. In the Inner Sanctum, or the second layer, I've got about 1 unit of Harpies. Kochka is bringing 2 units of Swordmasters of Hoeth. I've got 2 units of Blackguard of Naggarond, some Witch Elves of Cain, and some Anaconda's Amazons. Both of those last 2 units actually have kind of a screaming effect that'll demoralize enemy troops. Kochka's got a unit of Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, which in siege settings they actually have a little bit of an issue considering how many there are in a unit, or how, they have 5 Bolt Throwers in a unit, so it's hard to really position them where you want them to go in a city. In the back, he's got about 2 units of White Lions, and then in the city center, we've got some Black Ark Corsairs, a couple units of Phoenix Guard, some Hargoneth Executioners, a unit of Dread Spears with armor upgrades, and then a unit of Dragon Princes of Calidor. So those are going to be the armies, guys. Let's go ahead and start the battle, because the cav engagements do start off fairly quickly. But Kochka is going to begin to charge out his Illyrian Reavers and his Silver Helms. Both of these are going to be very quick, kind of light cavalry. They don't really have very effective armor, and that is kind of going to go a little bit against their favor. But the fact that First Class Mint doesn't have any skirmishers whatsoever, with the exception of those Liches, it's going to really kind of put Kochka into a good position to harass this big kind of blob of infantry. I mean, look how tightly packed his Tomb King units are. Charge would no doubt do a bunch of damage. I think what's happened here, though, is First Class Mint has kind of spread his ladders around under the impression that ladders will stop cav charges. The thing is, sometimes you'll kind of see infantry walk through them, and it'll break their formations, but sometimes it doesn't. Or you see that with other siege equipment, but I don't think that's the case with ladders. I'm pretty sure that you can just charge right over them with cavalry. So let's kind of see what Kochka decides to do with these Silver Helms. But again, guys, like I said, they're very lightly armored. They have no shields. Only just 1 or 2 units of maybe kind of weaker archer units for the Tomb Kings. Probably would have done a bunch of damage to these cav already. The Illyrian Reavers are not heavily armored either. There's not quite too many of them, so he might have been able to do a bit of damage there. But the arrow shots are going to be coming in, hitting these Holy Suns, which are very lightly armored. They don't have a shield, so they are going to get picked off pretty quickly by these Illyrian Reavers. They're going to be able to just kind of sit there and pick off these infantry units. Over here, Applejay is beginning to move up his forces. However, his Krell's personal bodyguard are taking some direct shots from my Dark Shards. They don't have very high armor values either, so they are going to whittle down very quickly. You can see lots and lots of dead personal bodyguard units over here. He's lost almost about a third of this unit already to my Dark Shards, so he's going to have to move up very quickly. Luckily, undead units don't have any kind of morale, so these are not going to rout as soon as they get to the wall. Over here, I have moved out my my Cold One Knights. I tried to get a charge in on these Plague Bearers, but was unsuccessful, and Dodgett has now employed his Chaos Knights to harass my Cold One Knights, and they are going to crash into this unit of Marauders and do a ton of damage to this light infantry unit, nearly destroying them completely, bringing them numbers down all the way down to about 20 from 92 or 93, I believe. 95, I guess, is a full unit of, that doesn't seem right. I think that might be his general unit. No, I guess 95 is the typical unit size on large scaling for some of these, I guess 93 for these Marauders. I'm really not sure, guys. I might have my numbers all messed up. Maybe these guys lost Marauder already, but I was pretty sure 93 was the standard infantry size, but I guess I was wrong. But I'm going to be moving my Cold One Knights around again, still trying to get some good charges onto these Plague Bearers. I had a good hit on those Marauders, felt really good about that. However, my Cold One Knights still have not quite paid for themselves yet. They are an expensive unit, and they are 2 HP, so they have a lot of capacity to do some damage. However, their low numbers typically does not allow them to move around unsupported too well. But I'm going to move them around a bit, and at this point they were shaken, and Dodgett is pretty much just on my tail with his Chaos Knights. Let's take a look and see what else is going on over here with First Class Mint's army. It looks like he's lost almost all of his Liches. However, I'm pretty sure one of these cav units have moved in and swept those up. I think he's got 1 Lich left at this point, but the Illyrian Reavers are just firing in. They don't even need to be accurate, really, at this point. They just fire in, hitting the flanks of these shielded units. They're only going to get about 50% of their shield value. These two-handed units are not going to get any kind of shield block chance, so all of their defense is going to come from their armor value. It does look like First Class Mint is moving up his Black Guardians of Xandri, but a lot of them are going to drop their pikes, and that is very bad. They are charging in, and it looks like he's going to move his Illyrian Reavers in. I don't think they're going to get the charge off, but however, the Silver Helms are going to move in, and even though these Black Guardians of Xandri have dropped their pikes, they are not going to take that charge very well. They're going to have a lot of damage done to them, and Kochka's not really going to take too many losses. A couple cav are going to go down, but honestly, he's going to be able to pretty much harass First Class Mint's army without too much provocation. The Bone Giants are moving out. They are probably going to be the only thing in First Class Mint's army right now that is going to be able to kind of counter this cavalry, but even then, the Silver Helms and Illyrian Reavers are so fast, they are probably going to be able to outrun that cav. Over here on this side of the wall, Applejay has got his Krell's personal bodyguard up on the wall. I do have my Bleak Swords pouring in, trying to get my Dark Shards freed from this engagement. They have pulled out their crossbows. Sometimes, if you kind of fiddle with the auto-fire feature or the fire-at-will feature, you can get them to fire how you want them. But look at this! Look at all these arrows just gracefully kind of just dropping down on them from these Empire's archers. Now he is using a lot of his archer fire. Usually, I would not recommend this, but it is so close right here. Or, you know, I would not recommend firing Empire archers down below up and onto units that are on the wall, but his shots are so accurate, I honestly can't say it's a bad move. He did kill a bit of these Dark Shards. It looks like he's going to be moving up some more of his Krell's personal bodyguard. I have kind of pulled away from that engagement. At this point, Applejay could just kind of bypass my Bleak Swords. He really wouldn't have to fight them head-on at this choke point. I've kind of bled them through both sides of the tower, so I can kind of guard this entire tower. He can't slip units in behind me. If he can push through, you know, enough on one side, he should be able to, but I've got about 78 units left in this Bleak Sword unit. If they're in tie formation, they should hold fairly effectively, but again, he doesn't need to go through them. He can just slide through this tower, go at my Dark Shards, which I think might be in Skirmisher mode. It's one of the worst things to have to deal with, guys. If you have, you know, any kind of Skirmisher unit, take them off Skirmisher mode in a siege setting. It honestly gets you in more trouble than it's worth. Sometimes you'll try and command a unit to run away, and they won't, because they'll be trying to Skirmisher mode run away, and that is interfering with your current orders. So it's just food for thought, guys. I encountered that a lot this game, so that's one thing I just specifically remembered. But I'm going to get some really good opportunistic shots with my Dark Shards here at Applejay's Krell's personal bodyguard. Doing a bunch of damage to them. Over here, it looks like Dodgett has begun to move up his siege towers. He's got the ram pushed through the wall already. It does look like this siege tower over here, supported by these plague bearers, has kind of established a foothold. We don't really have any majorly offensive artillery as Elvish factions, so we're gonna have to just kind of let him come through and kind of hold where we can. It looks like he is going to be firing, however, Dodge is going to be firing with his Hell Cannon. The wall is about 50% broken here, and he is really keen on opening up as many choke points as he can. He wants to be able to really not get restricted by one entry point and open up the gate, a few points on the walls. Applejay is doing the same over here, and really trying to get as many units as they can in the city as quickly as they can. My Dark Shards over here, I don't know what they're doing. They're not firing anymore, and this could just be from the Skirmisher mode, that these Krell's personal bodyguard may have just somehow meandered a little too close. But yeah, they're not firing anymore. Over here, we can see what is really going on with Kochka and First Class Mint. No doubt, a bitter rivalry being formed. The Ushabti over here are taking out some of these Silver Helms. They are going to be shaken, but then kind of reestablish their morale. Looks like First Class Mint is just kind of chase them wherever he can. Looks like the Illyrian Reavers over here are beginning to get a little bit tired, a little bit winded. If they get too tired, their speed will probably degrade enough to where he can kind of get in there with his Bone Giants and really do a lot of damage. It's only going to take about 1 or 2 swings from those Bone Giants to thin out these light cav units and really do a lot of damage to them. But I mean, poor First Class Mint, man. I mean, look, he's really dealing with a lot. He lost his Liches, which were his most valuable unit early on in the game, or at least lost all but one of them. He doesn't really have an answer to these 2 light cav units, and they're just giving him a really hard time this game. So over here, it does look like Dodgett has moved in his Marauders. I've got my Bleak Swords kind of established here in the city center, or in the city... I'm sorry, guys, the city streets. This is definitely not the city center. And then I've got my Assassins kind of moving back over here, while Dodgett is moving his Plague Bearers into the city. One Assassin is going to get isolated. Probably going to get killed, unless he moves over here with the rest of his troop. But I think I might try and pull out their throwing weapons here in just a second. It may not happen. But I do have my Bleak Swords over here still fighting against not only the Marauders, but the Nurglings that are now pouring in. It does look like Dodgett is moving up a lot of his forces. He's moved up his Chaos Warriors. It looks like he's going to start pushing his Nurglings in first, and maybe even his Minotaurs in next. Minotaurs can do a bunch of damage in these city siege settings, especially if you keep them close together with your other units. And keep them safe from mages and range units. You are going to be able to really push through any kind of choke point, so long as they don't get just destroyed by mages or something like that, or poison wind globadiers. Those are another unit that can really destroy multiple HP units very quickly. But over here, my Dark Shards are isolated. They are not doing what I'm trying to tell them to do. Again, because of the Skirmisher mode, I am not able to get them to run through to this kind of more safe area. I have set up my Bleak Swords over here in shield wall formation. Several Bleak Swords deep, about 3 or 4 deep in some areas. This is going to be a very hard push for Applejay or Dodgett if they decide to go this route. My Assassins have gotten some support from my Cold One Knights. The Plague Bearers over here are going to really be a bit of a threat. If I can hold my Assassins in kind of a tighter formation and start stun locking these Plague Bearers, I shouldn't have too much of an issue. They are a little bit spread out. Their numbers are definitely thinning from what they came in here at. I think they started at around 50, and now they're down to 32. Little less than what is in my assassin unit, and with the support of my bleak swords beginning to flank these plague bearers, they should do pretty okay. But Dodged is still very slowly kind of moving his units in. He's got his ram over here in a very safe position, still moving it up with his marauders, really kind of making use of some of these kind of weaker meat shield units. My dark shards are going to melt away here. I don't know if any got away. I think maybe, yeah, one dark shard is going to get away due to routing, but that is honestly very sad. I could not just get them out of there from the skirmisher mode. So, yeah, I absolutely hate skirmisher mode, guys. It's something that I tried to turn off whenever I think about it. It's really great if you're playing as the Wood Elves and don't want to micro some of your archer units or you know, any kind of archer unit, because typically elf units are pretty quick. But you know, in just my opinion, it gets me into more trouble than it keeps me from. My bleak swords are going to kind of establish a shield wall formation here. They are holding very tightly against these Nurglings and these marauders. This shouldn't be any problem for them. The bleak swords are, while one of the weaker units, or one of the lower tier units for the Dark Elves, they are you know, much higher tier in terms of stats than the Nurglings, and certainly better than marauders. The plague bearers here are beginning to melt away. Only 6 left in this unit. I am getting some reinforcements from Kochka's Lothern Sea Guard. He is going to start moving in some units here. We are very quickly going to see this become a major choke point in the battle. If we go ahead and look at what is going on with First Class Mint, it looks like he has finally pushed through and had killed most of these cav units. He has certainly lost a large amount of his army. If you looked at the beginning, the balanced power bar was certainly more in their favor than it is now. It's shifted a little bit to our side. We've killed about 30% of their army in total. A lot of that I know probably was from First Class Mint's units. If you go and look over here and see the carnage, look at all the units that were killed. A lot of these were just from the Illyrian Reaver units. He lost his Liches here. And he lost a lot of his Black Guardians of Xandri. So it was a very, very tough start for First Class Mint, that's for sure, but let's see how he makes it up with those Giants in the game. Giants are certainly one of the stronger units in a siege. You can certainly clear out a street very quickly with a supported units of Giants. Dajid is moving in his Minotaurs. This is going to be really bad for my Bleak Swords. I don't have many left. They are holding kind of very thinly here, and then his Minotaurs are just going to run them over. They're just going to act like that formation was not even there, just break through. That is going to give a chance for these Nurglings to attack my Bleak Swords while they're getting up. And these Minotaurs are just going to tear through my line. My Bleak Swords are wavering. They are probably going to rout very soon. And Kochka, I believe, is going to kind of set up his choke point, his shield wall right here. And here he goes. His Lothern Sea Guard are getting into position. And just imagine being one of these Lothern Sea Guard and just having to hold while you see these Minotaur just eating these Bleak Swords alive. They're fighting to their death. They're routing. And they're broken, but they can't get away. I do have my assassins over here. This is not a good engagement for them. I really probably at this point need to start sending them in. I know I'll probably lose a lot by running them away, but I don't think I'm probably going to get any kills on these Minotaurs with them isolated out here. So I'm going to try and move them over soonish, maybe. We'll see about that. But Dajid is beginning to pour more Nurglings into the city. Just a ton of these little tiny Nurgle units. And then Applejay is getting a really advantageous position up here on the wall. I believe he's going to start firing down very soon into Kochka's shield wall and into these High Elf spears, and that's going to be really good. He's going to have a little bit of an issue because he's firing right into these larger shield units, and they are going to have a shield block chance. However, he is certainly going to pick off some of these Lothern Sea Guard units. I don't know what the armor value is on a lot of these High Elf units. I don't play Elf factions very often. Mostly because I'm just not very good at them. But I do know High Elf Spears are the cheapest unit High Elves get, only at about 1,000 gold, and Lothern Sea Guard are, while I think relatively cheap, considering they're both a bowman unit and a spear unit that can use a shield wall, they're not too expensive either. So he's got a bunch of his units over here, really kind of congesting the street, keeping back these Nurglings. They're not going to have, Kochka is not going to have too much of an issue against these weaker units. It does look like Dodged is moving his Minotaurs back a little bit. That's really kind of a wise move. This kind of engagement is so tightly centered. If he moved in his Minotaurs, they'd no doubt get shot by Applejay's Empire Archers and Friendly Fire, and these Lothern Seaguard may even be able to kind of stunlock a lot of those Minotaurs, especially if we start sending in some more units. My Bleak Swords over on this side have begun to hold against Applejay's really elite troops. His Blood Dragons are going to be over here. I think my Bleak Swords, I thought they were in shield wall formation, but I guess they're not anymore. They may kind of go more into that kind of tighter formation later. You want that tight formation because it allows you to have several units swinging at a single unit at the same time. It makes it harder for you to be stun locked. It makes it easier for you to hold tightly against a whole bunch of units. Usually one unit can kind of stop up 4 or 5 units if they're positioned correctly and if they have the right stats. I do have some assassins up here. They're not throwing, they're throwing daggers. I kind of wish they were. But at this point, First Classman has gotten into the city, and he is no doubt angry about the engagement earlier. I don't know if he's actually angry, but he is looking for blood. That's for sure, blood and bones. And here he goes. He's going to be marching his Bone Giants up against this pitiful little engagement of Lothern Seaguard and High Elf Spears, and he is going to just run them over. I don't think he's going to kill any in that engagement, but he is going to cause a lot of havoc to the units we have in reserve over here. My Dark Shards running forward towards the Bone Giants is another example of this skirmisher mode going wrong. That, first of all, is not the direction they should run in skirmisher mode, and I did not command them to run. I wanted them to fire at the Bone Giants, but they decided, oh, they're too spooky, we'll run directly into them. So, again, skirmisher mode getting me into trouble in this match. But over here, First Classman's Giants are going to just charge for these High Elf Spears. This is kind of where he wants to position his Giants, at these choke points. He wants to help Applejay and Dodge just pour into the city to push up here to get closer and closer to this area. If he can get his Giants to break this choke point and this choke point, that will give them this area. And we'll have a bit harder of a time holding against all three of these choke points against all, their consecutive armies. The High Elf Spears over here are holding. I believe the Giants were able to kill a few, but at this point, First Classman is running his Giants just around crazily in the city, and at this point, his other units are beginning to follow in. He's just sending everything he has. He's got 1 Lich left. I guess his general is also in his Lich unit, but he is just throwing everything that he's got in here. He's sending his mummies and his Ushabti, and they're going to kind of come around. I believe the Giants are over here still causing a huge amount of damage to our units. Each kick is going to take out a few of these Lothern Seaguard. My Blackguard of Nagrond are trying to attack them. They have a big opportunity to do a bunch of damage to those Giants, mostly because Giants, they are considered cavalry, and Blackguard of Nagrond have a very quick attack animation and have a bonus against cavalry. So they can do a bunch of damage to them. But again, kind of getting close together, only having 1 HP. I could lose a lot of this Blackguard of Nagrond as well. But at this point, I think First Classman is going a little crazy with his Bone Giants. He's charging them into the town center. He won't get the timer because he is vastly outnumbered here. I think you have to outnumber the defenders by a certain ratio before you actually get a defeat timer established. So he's going to move his Bone Giants in. Honestly, a little too deep. They could be used elsewhere in the city, like specifically right here. If he could free up his own choke point and start pouring in, he could very easily move back here and push Kochka back from Dodged's choke point, and maybe even go over here and push me out of Applejay's choke point. Kochka has reinforced both choke points with some High Elf Spears. However, over here we are really having a hard time. He is going to be able to just really push his units in. This is kind of a little bit of a suicidal decision, though, because his units are so tightly centered. We're going to probably be able to throw in some archer fire and not even really need to be too accurate to do some damage. Over here, I think the Bone Giants are still alive. One has got caught in a really precarious position right here, caught in the ballista. I don't think he's going to be able to get out, and that's going to give us an opportunity to fell one of these giants. I think maybe he's going to move back his other Bone Giant. That one is going to go down there. He's only going to have one Bone Giant left, and he's going to kind of have to use that to its fullest, because that's all he really has in terms of killing power. He lost a lot of his Liches. He does have numbers, but again, guys, just throwing your units in here like this, you can kind of see a lot of that archer fire. It is a little bit framey, I apologize, guys, but a lot of that archer fire coming in, and like I said, it doesn't even need to be very accurate. He can kind of just, or I guess Kochka and myself can kind of just fire over. Usually those kind of arcing shots are very inaccurate. In Call of Warhammer, they seem to be a little more accurate. But they're just gonna fire away, and it's just gonna be like rain. And each volley is gonna kill some of these skeleton warriors, some of these tomb guard. It does look like Dodgett has tried to move in some of his minotaurs to help against this engagement. He's moved up some more of his minotaurs over here against Kochka's spears. But again, this is, I think, what he was trying to avoid earlier, is actually getting these minotaurs kind of stun locked in this engagement. They're going to be able to get some swings off, but there are so many High Elf spears over here that they're going to be able to absolutely surround these minotaurs and do a bunch of damage to them. I think Applejay still has some of these Empire archers up on top. They're going to be firing in, I believe, trying to alleviate some of this congestion that First Class Min is going to have to deal with over here. Look at all these Tomb King units in here, though, just pouring into the city. He does have some Ushabti left. Not many, however. Ushabti only have about 3 or 4 HP. While they are one of the higher tier units for the Tomb Kings, they are a little more fragile. I do have some Blackguard of Nagaron here, however. They are going to form a nice line. Kochka's spears are doing a really good job as well. His Lothern Sea Guard holding. But we have really gotten pushed back into this courtyard. But again, First Class Min is losing a lot of his forces just in this area. I do have some shades over here. I believe I'm trying to move them over. You can kind of see it says they're marching, but they're not. Again, I think this had a little bit to do with the skirmisher mode. I really can't rag on that enough, guys. I have not played a siege in a while. This is the first one I had played in probably a month or so, and I had just completely forgotten about the skirmisher mechanic, and I was just sitting just like, why are my guys not listening to me? I want them to live, but they obviously want to die. But I've got, let's see, some more of my Blackguard over here, thinning out, only 25 left. Lots and lots and lots and lots of skirmisher fire coming in, just a constant stream of arrows and crossbow bolts coming into these Tomb Kings. Looks like over here I've got some more of my assassins now supporting my Bleak Swords, which are shaken. They're very exhausted, and Applejay is putting as much pressure as he can on this choke point. As soon as he pushes through, he's going to be able to really allocate kind of whatever he has left over here. Dodgett's got some Plague Bears, some Nurglings over here. He's got some Chaos Warriors in the back. Looks like Applejay has some Empire Archers, which are warmed up. The Chaos Knights from earlier, a bunch of Chaos Warriors and Empire Archers are still alive. Right outside of the city, we've got the Cavalry for Applejay. Now, I think Applejay probably should have sent that cavalry over early on to maybe help out First Class Mint. It's entirely possible that he wasn't quite aware of what was going on. First Class Mint was the only person who was not in the Warhammer Week Discord, so you know, he wouldn't have been able to really call out too much. He may have during the game. I may have not noticed it. But over here, the High Elf Spears are going to rout after encountering a lot of these undead units and these just monstrous Minotaurs. 14 Minotaurs still left in this unit. I think he started with 15 or 16, so these Minotaurs have done a very good job at maintaining their life this game. If we go and look at what is left of First Class Mint's army, it's really sparse, guys. He went from just a kind of a really full army to very little, very quickly, and just a carpet of dead Tomb King units. I think at this point, though he may have not been taking it too super seriously, kind of throwing his units in there and his Bone Giants in there early on, and kind of taking all that cavalry abuse so early in the game from Kochka, no doubt probably was a little bit demoralizing. But he is going to still do his best, however, and be really aggressive. Just throw his units in there, and Coach and I are going to have to deal with it the best we know how. I've got some Dark Shards over here, which are just firing volley after volley after volley into the armies of the Children of Nurgle and into the Vampire Counts. No doubt doing a lot of damage here. I think in the end, my Dark Shards get the highest amount of kills on my team, but when you have kind of positions like this where you can keep your skirmisher units safe, you can do a lot of damage. Call of Warhammer has some extraordinarily powerful kind of Tomb King, or not Tomb King units, guys, I'm sorry, some skirmisher units, and you can really see that in some of these sieges. I am gonna run out of ammo with my Dark Shards. That's one kind of drawback. They fire so quickly, they often exhaust their ammo a lot faster than other skirmishers do. So fire at will mode again can get you into a little trouble. I haven't ragged on that too much this round, but you know, again, control is really important in Call of Warhammer. You don't want your units doing things that you don't necessarily want them not doing, if that makes any sense whatsoever. You want to have as much control over units as you possibly can exert. So we have really kind of been pushed back to this kind of street right here. There's a lot of units just pushing. They are kind of holding back on their heavier units. I think they've got a lot of their Von Karsteins, their Nerdlings out here. Some of these lighter units, the Empire Archers, which no longer have any ammo, are going to be thrown into melee as well. And I think at this point they are just trying to push us back into the keep, into the second layer, and that is going to be where we're really going to have to push and hold as best we can. But things are actually kind of starting to look a bit better for us. Bounce power has shifted again in our favor a little more. It's almost even now. We've lost about 47% of our army, and they've lost about 68% of theirs. So, you know, a big part of that is First Class Mint losing his army right here, though, or a big majority of his army. I think he still has his Lich, however, and if he can utilize this Lich and keep it safe this game, he can get a bit of kills. He can, I'm sure, route some units, and so even though he has lost a large portion of his army and the majority of it, he still has an opportunity to do a bunch of damage to us. Never underestimate a single caster in a siege setting. Just a single mage can do a bunch of damage. But we are holding strong with my Shades and the High Elf Spears. So my Dark Shards are still doing pretty good. Dark Shards are, you know, I was saying they're not the best in melee earlier, but, you know, they're pretty decent, quite honestly. They don't route that quick. Well, I say that now and they're shaken, of course, but they are fighting against Vampire Count units. They're fighting against some Blood Dragons over here, which are still pretty healthy in number, still about 2/3 left in the unit, and they are going to very quickly kind of chew through these lightly armored Dark Shards. But it looks like Dodget is moving up his siege tower. The Minotaurs over here that helped kind of break through, or help this choke point break through, are I guess resting, getting warmed up again, or going back up to warmed up. I don't know if they were tired earlier. But I think our towers are firing at them. I don't know. Well, I guess these are decently accurate. They are going to be kind of firing in at these Marauders. It's really kind of inconsequential, to be honest. These weaker units aren't going to be too useful in the final push. That's going to be where the elites really shine, where those Minotaurs are going to have to really be used to full effect now that Giants are no longer on the table. But let's see. So we're still just kind of waiting for them to push through. A big battle ensuing. Let's kind of take inventory of what's left in the field. We still have a very strong town center with the Phoenix Guards. We've got the Hargoneth Executioners. I've got a few Dread Spears left. I believe they got thinned out very quickly from those Giants. We see a bunch of these dead Dragon Princes of Calidor, which did not get used early on in the game. Just imagine if they did. I don't know. First Class Mint would have had an even harder time. But I've got some Dark Shards left over here. These may be out of ammo. Got my Anacondas, Amazons, some of these White Lions still left as well. You can kind of hear the screaming effect going on. We got the Witch Elves of Cain and Harpies, some more Lothern Sea Guard, and then 2 units of Sword Masters of Hoeth, which are still very healthy. It does look like the High Elf Spears, however, are going to begin to rout. They're going to start coming into the city. I do have some of my shades left, and I'm going to move them out over here. It does look like you can see kind of a red puff of smoke. That is the Lich trying to fire some of its magic. I guess it might be having some line of sight issues being where it is, and with the potential friendly fire risk that is present. The Von Karsteins and the I believe the Empire Archers are going to be charging up. My Dark Shards are still out here. They're tired. They are eager though, so hopefully they won't rout too fast. And I guess I've got them kind of out here just picking off some of these skeleton warriors. My shades have routed, which is sad because they are a repeater crossbow unit. You don't really want to have them sitting in melee for too long, like I did. I kind of messed up in that regard. But it does look like, however, Dodgeit is going to start firing at the walls. He's very eager to establish a choke point. He's firing with his Hell Cannon of Chaos. Now, when you have a settlement like this, you've got two major ways in. You can break down the wall here and come through the gate, or you can come through this wall here. And I don't mean to sound like I'm ragging on First Class Men or anything, because I certainly am not. But I think what he probably should have done is waited a little bit, maybe sent some troops over here or gone and reinforced them at their choke points with his giants, and then maybe kind of had most of his army kind of sitting back here with some of his tower or with his ladders, and then moved up to this choke point here, and or this wall here. It would have forced Coach Good to move his Shadow Warriors off the walls or engage against the Tomb Kings. And kind of opened up this wall for them to start moving in, because as it is, Coach is going to be able to hold this wall very effectively. He's got both Sword Masters of Hoeth units here forming a very deadly V. That's really what you want to do when you're waiting for units to come in through the gate, is kind of form this V formation. But these Shadow Warriors are going to be able to fire at anything that's coming through that gate. They're in an absolutely critical position for us, and quite honestly for the attacking team. They do not want our units up there. First Class Mint is moving up his Liches, however, too close to the walls. While Dodgeit is trying to pound these walls down about 13% at a time with the Hell Cannon, First Class Mint, I guess he's trying to move his Lich away a little closer. I think what he wanted to do was have kind of a point-blank shot and hit the units as soon as the walls came down, which is admirable. But he's going to lose his Lich! He's going to lose his Lich to kind of a rogue Hell Cannon shot. The Hell Cannon is not the most accurate type of artillery in the game. So, yeah, he did lose the Lich there. That is a shame. So First Class Mint has really lost pretty much his whole army at this point. I think he has his general and maybe a handful of units. So I don't know how much else he's going to be really able to turn the tide of the game. Dodgeit is continuing to fire at this wall, and it looks like he's going to be moving up his ram as well. So this is kind of where we are. Dodge is trying to open up a choke point here and here. I think what he's going to try and do is move units in here and kind of destroy the Swordmasters of Hoeth unit, and then move back and hopefully get to these Shadow Warriors, because if they can sit there unmolested, and if we're able to slow their impediment through this entire corridor, it's gonna be very, very hard for them to survive, especially when their backs are going to be turned to these Shadow Warriors, because they're not going to get shield bonuses. So that's going to really be bad for them. You can hear the Harpies and the Witch Elves screaming. That demoralizing effect, no doubt, will have an effect on some of these more tired Empire Archer units. He doesn't have too many left. He's got some Empire Swordsmen, but most of these units are undead, so they won't have any kind of morale issues. I do think the Minotaurs, however, may be susceptible to morale effects, so we might possibly see their morale be damaged, or maybe even a little bit of short-term routing. Maybe? I don't know. I'm not going to allude to anything that might be in the game, guys. I don't want to ruin anything. But First Class Mint has his Lich right here, or I guess his general right here. It's bloodied up. Now his general unit is going to share the same stats as the Lich will, so he's going to be a little bit better in melee. But honestly, just having a single infantry unit like that doesn't have any special abilities, that doesn't have just an overpowering stats, it's not going to be enough to really do too much. Now, the gates are almost down. Every hit from that ram takes it down about 5%, and we are going to very soon see kind of an opening here. Another fire from the Hell Cannon, going to shoot a little bit high and hit the bridge over here. The wall is about at 63%. But yeah, guys, it takes forever to kind of knock these walls down with the Hell Cannon of Chaos. An amazing artillery unit. If you hit any kind of infantry, you'll do a huge AoE amount of damage. You'll also, you know, probably route that unit that you hit to, unless they have an extraordinarily high morale or if they're unbreakable. The Hell Cannon does have a really strong debuff to morale. But again, yeah, and you know, I 13% per cannon shot is not bad. It's only that it has one cannon in the unit, so it takes a while for it to reload. But at 2 cannons, that's only 25% of the wall's health per volley, so that's pretty good. But it just, again, it takes forever to load it up. But First Classman is not going to waste any time. He's going to send in his spooky skeleton crew with his general at the helm. The skeleton warriors trying to fight against the Swordmasters of Hoeth, which is definitely going to go in the way of the Swordmasters. The Shadow Warriors are going to be firing into the backs, however, of these skeleton warriors, and they're just going to waste that unit completely. The general is still alive, however, and he's going to kind of get knocked around by the Swordmasters of Hoeth. Kind of like bullies at a playground, almost. Just all the other ones are just watching them just kind of knock this one dude over. It's kind of mean, almost. But Dodged is getting closer and closer to destroying this wall. He only needs about 1 shot left, and then he's in. I think his Marauders are a little bit close, and he's going to take a small hiatus from firing with his Hell Cannon. But they are at a position now where they can start probably moving into the walls very soon. I think Dodge is going to kind of wait until he has this wall down before he starts sending troops in, because it is absolutely suicide to send anybody into this little choke point here. We are, however, myself and Kochka are forming, I wouldn't call it a V, but I would call it a block, I guess. It's a semi-V. Again, sometimes it's harder to position some of these units in the game. So there we go, guys. The Shadow Warriors are going to be firing at the Lich, and they're going to kill the Lich and the Swordmasters of Hoeth. I guess we got that just at the last second, but that's kind of comical that they killed his own Swordmasters unit. But yeah, so we're waiting on Dodge It now at this point, just to basically knock down the wall. I guess this is about all First Classman has left. A few Skeleton Warriors. I don't know if he's going to try and bait Kochka into friendly fire. It's quite possible he might, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're just going to wait. So here we go, guys. It does look like he's going to get on the Hell Cannon again. He's going to fire. He's going to roast about 4 or 5 of his own Nurglings, and he's going to miss. So that's gonna suck. He's going to have to kind of wait again to reload to get another chance at breaking down this wall. So yeah, we are here. And just kind of waiting for the wall to fall. But it does look like Kochka is going to start firing with the Shadow Warriors. Well, maybe not. I think he may have fired a volley down at maybe at some of these mummies. I'm not sure. It actually kind of looked like he was firing up, but he is not. He's going to take them off fire at will, or take them off whatever fire mode they were on. It does look like Dodge It is going to miss another shot, and these Marauders are wavering at this point. Oh, one of them is going to break. The unit with 7 is going to break. He's going to try and get his other Marauder unit away. Only 21 left in that unit now, so they're not going to be very useful still against some of our other heavily armored Elven units. Another miss from the Hell Cannon. It is sad when you see the Hell Cannon miss 3 times in a row, but I mean that, you know, if you've ever used the Hell Cannon, that's no surprise whatsoever. But yeah. So while we wait for this, guys, I guess we could talk about stuff that might be in 1.5. I do hear that the dev version is getting a little closer. Not to get anybody too excited. Oh no, the wall fell! Okay, we gotta talk about the battle. I'm just kidding. But no, 1.5, guys, I'm not 100% sure about when it comes out. Obviously, we're not kind of working with any kind of date, for my knowledge. We don't want to promise a day and then not be able to deliver, obviously, but we are going to be seeing that hopefully very soon. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but on the mod DB page, Call of Warhammer came in at number 8 of basically mod of the year, and that's not just Medieval 2 mods. That is basically within all mods on mod DB. So just congratulations to the mod team, guys. I know this is kind of a weird place to say that in the video, but yeah, I got really excited when I heard about that. And this is just the 1.01 release, so when Call of Warhammer 1.5 comes out, they'll be up for another mod award in 2017, and that'll be really interesting to see how the kind of full-fleshed version of Call of Warhammer plays out. Looks like now that Dodged is going to be firing again at the gatehouse. I'm not sure if that's his target or if he's trying to fire at the towers. If he takes out the gatehouse, the oil will not spill down onto the units. I don't know if it would be really smart to invest units over here, however, given that the Swordsmaster Ahoeth and the Shadow Warriors are just poised to strike, but Dodged is going to start moving up his Nurglings. Looks like, excuse me guys, Applejay is going to be moving up his Empire Archers, and I do have my Dark Shards here. These guys do have ammo, and I was trying to get them to fire, but skirmish mode kept me from doing so as they tried to run away as these Nurglings Empire Archers were getting close, but their pathing was all messed up, so they were not able to. So now they're going to be in a melee engagement against these Empire Archers and Nurglings, which really isn't a big deal. If this were Chaos Warriors, I'd be in a little bit of trouble, but these weaker Empire Archers, they're going to rout. These Nurglings I'm really not too concerned about. What I am concerned about, however, is a shot from the Hell Cannon, maybe wiping out a big section of my Dark Shards. Another shot coming from the Hell Cannon, the Gatehouse at 84%. I guess the Gatehouse may be his target, but we will see kind of what ends up transpiring. Some more of Dodged's Nurglings kind of marching into the fray. They're going to, I guess, yeah, okay, here, yeah, they're going to hold this position. I am going to finally get on my Dark Shards and pull them back, and my Dark Shards that actually are out of ammo are now going to begin to get involved in this engagement, kind of how you want it to go. Once you have a unit that has no more, no more ammo, you want to send them into melee pretty much immediately, or whenever is necessary, because they're not, that's the best they're going to be used for. The Minotaurs, however, are going to be just moving in. They are going to kind of break this formation. Back behind them, we've got the Blood Dragons, we've got the Blood Dragon Knights, and I believe we got some more of the Plague Bears. The Vampire Black Knights are charging in. I believe Dodged is going to very quickly or very soon start moving in some of his Chaos Warriors. The Plague Bearers are going to go into the left, while the rest of this just horde of cavalry and monstrous units and vampire count units just flood into the city. But they, again, guys, this is kind of what I was talking about. They're going to have a bit of a hard time, especially these Plague Bearers right here, squished between these Swordmasters. These Shadow Warriors are just going to be able to fire volley after volley after volley just into the flanks and into the rear of Applejay's army and into the rear of Dodged's army. And that's why kind of holding that or establishing a foothold right over here on this wall is really important, because Kochka can hold this position just incredibly well. Unless these Minotaurs push through and attack these Shadow Warriors, because they might actually be able to just run over the Swordmasters, they're not going to be able to do anything about them. And look at all these units that have already died just from the rear shots of these Shadow Warriors. I mean, it's astonishing. And not to mention this other Shadow Warrior unit that Kochka has over here. He's going to be able to basically have this really kind of nice two-way fire. Any units that kind of slip by past that engagement, he's going to be able to fire at as well with his Shadow Warriors up on top. But he's got his Lothern Sea Guard. I've got my Anacondas, Amazons, and Witch Elves of Cain fighting against the Minotaurs down here, and the Blood Dragon Knights. I think at this point, the attacking team is just all-out push. Go as far deep into the city as you can. Dodged is moving up his Chaos Warriors, but however, like I said earlier, guys, they are going to be facing away from these Shadow Warriors, so they're not going to get their shield bonus, and that is going to be really bad because that's a big chunk of what they get from their damage mitigation from arrows from. Dark Shards are going to be fighting still with these Dread Spears. Red Spears are going to be shaken, however, the Dark Shards are not. I find that a little bit odd that the Skirmisher units tend to seem to have a little bit better morale than some of these infantry units. But again, guys, this is 1.01. A lot is going to change in 1.5. A lot of rebalancing is going to be done, a lot of new units added, a lot of, a really good example, and I may have brought this up in some past replays, but there's a lot of armor pen currently on a lot of the units in the game right now. So that is going to be removed for except the ones that kind of should have it, like big two-handed units that use a mace or an axe, or things like that. So factions like the Dwarves will just be inherently better, on top of getting kind of a little bit of a price cut. For the Dwarves specifically, some other units might be getting a little bit of a price hike. It depends. I'm not 100% sure still, guys. I have not seen the final in-dev version. You can hear the Anaconda's Amazons yelling here as well. But yeah, I'm really excited for 1.5. But over here, you can see the Minotaurs just getting stun-locked. There's not many left. I think there's only about 3 Minotaurs left in this unit. They are going to fall fairly quickly. You can see the balance of power has just radically shifted in our favor. Almost entirely just from this choke point here and this outer wall right out in front. But it does look like the Chaos Warriors are actually routing. I'm not sure if that's due to the Anaconda's Amazons and the kind of debuff from morale, or just from the sheer fact of how many units are in this very small courtyard. You can just see all these dead Plague Bearers. The Swordmasters of Hoeth have lost a few of their numbers. They're down to 77 here, 73 here. So they lost some numbers, but they have cut through those very elite Plague Bearer units. The Empire Swordsmen, while routing, I guess, are continuing to fight. Again, guys, I think this has to do with kind of city siege pathing. It's really funny when units have their own kind of set path that they're supposed to go on. Things don't always work out the way they should. But we are very much outnumbering the attacking forces at this point. The Minotaurs are... Oh, wow, that lady flew up in the air really far. The Minotaurs are really isolated. They are trying to get some swings off. A few of them are able to lash out and do a little bit of damage, maybe cause a casualty here or there, but they don't have an AoE attack. They are strictly a single target unit, and I think at this point we were deciding to just dedicate everything we had, or at least I was, and just push them back out to this choke point. Dodge is going to be moving up what is left of his Chaos Warriors. I think he moved up, he's moving up his Hell Cannon of Chaos, but they are going to rout right out here, and I think that does have to do with the Anaconda's Amazons and the Witch Elves of Cain, their screeching effect. I guess those are cumulative and they stack because... well, maybe not. See, because the Chaos Warriors, they're not routing. I guess the Artillery Crews typically have pretty low morale. But we are really pushing our units into this choke point, and at this point, I don't think Dodge is going to be able to come back. Now, see, kind of what he's done here is he's kind of sitting at the choke point rather than pushing into the wall. So the Shadow Warriors can't quite fire at him, but still, I think at this point, it's too late. I think some of these... Oh, no, they're not going to be routing yet. But I think, some of these Chaos Warriors are going to get a few kills, but honestly, just not enough. Yeah, here we go. They're beginning to shake. They're getting shaken. They're still fresh. They're warmed up. Even though they are seriously outnumbered, I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. Usually, numerics have a lot to do with the unit's morale. But they are beginning to waver, and very soon I expect them to rout. With all of these Dark Elf units just pushing them through this tiny little hole in the wall. But yeah, guys, this is pretty much going to be it. We did have a lot of forces kind of left at the end, 61% to about 96% of armies remaining. So, I'm sorry, guys, of armies killed. But it was fun, guys. I don't get to do sieges very often, as I'm sure many of us know. They're a little bit unsteady in 1.01, but when they go off and you're able to go through a whole game without people crashing, it is so much fun. But that is the game, guys. We can look at the kills here. I got about 3,080 kills. Coach got 1,739. Each of the attacking teams got about 500 to almost 600 kills. First class Mitt, he lost a lot of his units early on, but he still was able to get second amount of kills. So I think, again, if he had played a little safer, maybe brought a couple of bow units early on, he would have been able to kind of preserve a lot of his army from those lightly armored cav, and maybe been a little more patient in the city. The siege may have gone a little bit differently. None of the none of the Tomb King units rout, so they would not have had any problems with the morale debuffs from those Witch Elves of Cain, Amazons, and Harpies. So, but let's take a look at the kill count. My Blackguard of Nagron got 289. No doubt a lot of those were probably from the Tomb King units as they were pouring in. I had them kind of spread out there. 353 for my Dark Shards, 171 for my other Dark Shard units, and 322. That's a lot of... I mean, the combined value of these 4 Dark Shard units is over 20% of the kills of my army, so they did a lot of work. Assassins getting a 103 kills, that's pretty good. They are an expensive unit, however. Bleak Swords at 122 and 161, that's really good. And then my Cold One Knights getting 137, it's not too shabby either. But yeah, guys, again, that was the game. I hope y'all liked it. There's a lot more Warhammer content coming soon. And that's it, guys, I guess. So I'll see y'all next time, and I hope y'all have a great day.